and welcome to the CDO Magazine interview series. I am Brian Keith with Microsoft Federal, and we're partnering with CDO Magazine, MIT, CDO IQ, and the International Society of Chief Data Officers. Today, I have the pleasure of talking with Irvin Rogers, the CIO of the great state of Ohio. Welcome, Irvin, and thank you for joining me today.
Brian, thank you so much for the invite. I'm excited about today's conversation, but I know that I'm not sure exactly where you're located at, but in order to get the Ohio vibe, I'm going to need you to do something for me. So when I say OH, you say?
IO.
There we go. This is going to be a great conversation.
Yeah, great. So Irvin, a lot of people know that their states have a CIO, but I bet a lot of them don't really understand what a state CIO does. So can you just give us some context of what is the role of a state CIO?
Yes. So state CIO, it ranges from state to state. I'm a part of the NASCIO, which is the National Association of State CIOs. I'm actually an executive director on the executive committee. And in my particular state, it's not a cabinet position, which means that, it's not a secretary in some states or a director in some states. My role is a dual role. So I serve as not only the state of Ohio state CIO, but I serve as the assistant DAS, Department of Administrative Services director. And what that encompasses is that the agency CIOs, I was a part of the hiring process for each and every one of them for this administration, which is something that's new, hasn't been done in the past with prior state CIOs in my position. I became the state's executive recruiter with regards to recruiting talent to the state to make sure that we were able to uphold what the administration is looking to get accomplished. And so it's important that we put the right folks in those particular seats. So I'm really along the lines of coordinating. I'm in charge of infrastructure from an enterprise perspective, such as Office 365 from a Microsoft perspective. My team runs that across the entire enterprise. There are certain applications that multiple agencies might use, and so my team would be in charge of running that enterprise suite. Everything else, I'm working in partnership with the agencies and their agency CIO. The agency CIOs are dotted line to me, and they report directly to the executive directors. So it's very much a collaborative environment. I believe in the concept of one team, one goal, which simply means that it doesn't matter where the issue is, we're going to come together as a team. And that's really what I've seen, if nothing else, over this last year from a pandemic standpoint, where we have united and done some amazing things across the enterprise to make things better for the citizens of Ohio.
And that's really impressive. And you brought up the pandemic, and 2020 was a challenge for across all industries for most people, and I'm sure especially at the state level. So really, what were some of the issues or challenges that you didn't anticipate? And, what did you learn?
My leadership style is a little unique. I'm very passionate about what I'm doing. I love coming to work every single day. I believe that positive energy is contagious. And if you are that way, start to finish, folks will catch on and want to be a part of that positive, that vibe. And so when I first started out as state CIO, I did something unique. When I brought all the CIOs together in our monthly MAC meeting, which is our multi-agency council meeting, we bring all the CIOs together every 6 weeks. I actually DJ'd an event because I wanted to create an environment. And yes, I'm a professional DJ. My alter ego is executive DJ, DJ executive. So I wanted to create an environment where folks, felt it was okay to share, failures, successes. And it paid big dividends because that's how we started, right? You set the tone as to how you want to start. And that was very, very important to me, to be out front, to be, to expose them to to show them that I'm human just like they are, put my pants on one leg at a time. Sometimes if I'm in a rush, I jump into them at the same time, but and that never ends in a good place. But essentially, we are just focused in on making sure that we're providing the best solutions for, that of the citizens of Ohio. And through this pandemic, because we had built that culture of collaboration, we were able to very quickly, in fact, I was supposed to be at a conference. I'll never forget. I was supposed to fly out like in 2 days. And we had the first case that hit in Washington, state of Washington. And then we had another one. Our governor wanted to be on the forefront, and he started calling emergency meetings. That meant that I needed to make sure that I showed up and my team showed up from a technology perspective to meet the demands. And so there wasn't a whole lot of time to try and figure out, should we do this? Should we do that? It was a matter of showing up and being a leader that the state needed at the time. And so one of the things that I learned very quickly was our ability. It's an environment where typically state government period, we don't work from home. We're typically in those offices supporting citizens that are coming into the buildings. It's just kind of frowned upon. When I was in private sector, didn't think twice about it. Work from home. Do what you have to do. So getting our 55,000 employees to a work from home standpoint, that was a bit of a culture shift, right? So our adoption, which we were trying to implement Microsoft Teams, get people used to it. I'll be the first to admit it. I was like, I don't want any stinking Microsoft. I don't need another tool. But right now, if I can't pry Microsoft Teams away from folks. So our adoption shot up from basically 5% adoption across the enterprise to 100%. People live and die by that particular tool. We have other virtual platforms that we're leveraging. So getting the folks to start to adopt some of the virtual tools in place, that was the speed at which we did that. That was a very surprising thing and exciting thing to be a part of. The other thing is people wanted to make a difference. So people were looking for things that they could be assistant. And it goes back to that one team, one goal concept where people were reaching over agencies with regards to, hey, you need laptops? I got laptops. Here, take these. We were trying to do everything we could to keep that sense of community together. And I've seen that take place throughout the rest of the pandemic. One other quick story would be along the lines of, tuning into state government. Not many people really did that in the past. The highest day might be 500 folks, and they're watching the state of the state, right? An annual thing where they're online and they're watching, or watching on TV. Well, our governor, like I said before, he wanted to be, out front. And he was one of the top 4 governors out there that was pushing, to get the information to people so that people could arm themselves, along with Lieutenant Governor John Husted with Innovate Ohio. And the first 3 days, we went, trying to broadcast so he could give live updates about the coronavirus. And it basically crashed. It wasn't built for that. So I needed to partner with another vendor through our Cloud Smart initiative in order to provide streaming services. So who would have thought that be adding a TV producer to the credentials? But we quickly went from 500 concurrent users to approximately 240,000 per second. So it became the footprint, the model for other states that started to mimic those various things, including Governor Cuomo in New York. Governor DeWine was the first. I have to admit that. So,
and I really love your passion and your sense for just innovation leadership, and that really leads to my next question. Across the country, states are operating within these constrained budgets, but at the same time, as you mentioned, the pace of technology is still accelerating. So it really requires governments to really respond in new and different ways. And you gave some great examples, due to the pandemic. But what role does a state CIO play as a catalyst and leader to drive that innovation?
One of the cool things that we have here at the state of Ohio is the Innovate Ohio initiative that's led by Lieutenant Governor John Husted. I partner with him. I run the platform, the Innovate Ohio platform, better known as IOP, in the background. And an example of that, starting out with that concept, again, it's amazing how things work. That first year of the administration, we were building up. We were, we wanted to basically, our Lieutenant Governor he had a lofty goal of basically delivering digital services to the citizens where they didn't have to ever go to a government building. So that first year, that's all we were focused in on. Well, that was the best investment because really it set us up for the pandemic. We were able to start running versus crawling compared to other states when it came to responding to the, from a COVID standpoint. So as a state CIO, it's my job to champion innovation and ensure that everyone understands what their particular role is in the overall piece. So I've got my fingers in a lot of different areas. I don't do anything by myself. I've got a great team in place. We play team ball, and I consider myself one of the coaches. If I equate it to that of superheroes, I would equate myself to the Black Panther because ultimately he provides vibranium to all the various nations to empower them with technology. And so, that's just one of the, key elements from a state CIO perspective is to empower others to do great things based on their mission, that being the agency missions that they each have out there. We're making sure that, we're working behind the scenes, kind of the guy behind the green curtain. Sometimes I'm out in front of the curtain, but it's all in support of the governor and the lieutenant governor.
And that's outstanding. I think it's a Black Panther mask and a Captain American shield behind you. I'm a big fan, big Marvel fan as well. But you mentioned citizens. And I know the citizens today expect state governments to operate like their favorite digital platforms. They're looking for that personalized, curated experience with quality digital transactions. And these citizens are willing to share some of their data in order to get that personalized experience. So at the same time you're collecting the citizen data, you're also getting volumes of other unstructured and velocity of data. And now with this wealth of data, it creates a nice data lake to run advanced analytics, but it also poses significant challenges in terms of managing and protecting it. So what are you doing to become more citizen-centric? You gave some ideas and data-driven.
That's really the core concept behind the Innovate Ohio platform. Citizen-centric that's really our mission. The citizen is at the core of the Lieutenant Governor, Husted's Innovate Ohio initiative. We're looking at everything with the citizen in mind. We support from an IOP perspective, it's our enterprise digital channel for identity and user experience solutions. So it's at the heart of, for example, coronavirus.ohio.gov. That was trending as the #1 website in the entire United States. That's where our citizens were able to go, drill down very quickly, understand what's going on in their particular county or their community, so that they can, be prepared to do the things that they needed to do, see the trends, validate our data. We're trying to be transparent and providing that digital experience. So I'm really, really excited. We have over 1 million Ohio ID, workforce. 15 out of the 26, cabinet agencies have already had their websites migrated. And the goal is to have everyone's website onto the IOP platform. So there is a unique experience so that, if I'm going to ODNR, I don't have to look for the find me page or about me page, or, it's in the same, vicinity, et cetera. So it's a similar experience. From a citizen standpoint, they really don't care that we're broken down to, 32 plus boards, agencies, and commissions. It's one state government, to them. And that's how it should be. So that as we're providing those digital services to our citizens, just like the Amazon experience, right? When you go to, they're suggesting products back to you. That's what our citizens are expecting. And so we're trying to create that same type of an environment for them so that, if they participate, they have to opt in. And if they opt in, we can provide a great user experience based on all the various services that they use across the entire state.
And that's really impressive. And I want to pivot though to cybersecurity, because that's been in the news lately. And I know state governments face constant cyber risk. A major example of that is in 2019, the cyber attack on 22 Texas towns, where their computer systems were actually hacked, seized, and held for ransom. So how do you stay ahead of these cyber security risks, at the state level?
It's cybersecurity is something that is always at the forefront of my thoughts, concerns. We start out with cybersecurity in mind, as we're building systems. So if you start out with it, you'll end up with a better product. I think it was the time where I really started to have an appreciation for cybersecurity is when I needed to become not only the CIO, but the CISO. Right. The Chief Information Security Officer. So I was doing dual roles, and I felt like Jekyll and Hyde. I needed to be very fast and quick delivering services as a CIO, but from a CISO perspective, I needed to be cautious and slow down. And so I think that time spent at the Attorney General's office during that short period of time really has paid off big dividends in my career and the way that I lead. But from a cybersecurity perspective, we have a great team in place. It's led by our CISO, Anupam Srivastava. He and his team do tremendous amounts of work, yeoman's work, that some days goes unnoticed and unappreciated. But it's just one of those things. State government is not alone in the types of attacks that we see. I know that in private industry, it's the same type of flavor. It's just something that we all have to work collaboratively together because the criminals are getting smarter and more sophisticated. So taking an offense-defense approach is the best approach. Respect their game and understand where they're coming from so that you can put the best defenses and offenses in place to protect citizens' data and the state infrastructure.
Yeah, and I agree. And so the final question is looking forward. I know 2020 was disruptive and probably forced you to rearrange some of your priorities, but what is your top strategic priority for 2021 and why?
So one of the things that we really didn't talk about, but I'll highlight real quick, is that we put in a IT overall state of Ohio IT innovation strategic plan together for 2020 through 2022. And so we have been on that track, working hard and diligent to ensure that we are putting our best foot forward. So that's really kind of the high level blueprint that we're working towards. One of the areas that I'm really, really proud of coming out of in partnership with the Innovate Ohio team led by Lieutenant Governor John Husted is our Data Ohio portal. It's the first of its kind, in state government, where we're actually sharing data via a portal where it's adhering to regulatory requirements, policies, where folks can go in, request it, get validated, get the information provided to them in a very secure manner. So they can go out and help us solve complex problems or validate things that we've done. Right, we have the infant mortality study that's out there, where in which we've used data. Steve Wanamaker always says that Ohio is the data capital of the world, and by making a bold move like this, even from a state perspective, we're setting the tone for everyone else. And I believe wholeheartedly in that concept that Steve Wanamaker talks about. But, we have over 200 plus data sets that are, from health, higher education, rehabilitation and corrections, youth services, education, development services, and every day more and more are being added. So that's one area. There's power in data. Data will drive results. With data, you can make more informed, intelligent decisions. Another area of focus is that of my Cloud Smart initiative, where in which we're taking a very strategic look at cloud. infrastructure. So we had an initial cloud first approach where you had to evaluate, cloud when you were replatforming an application. That was great to start out with, right? But then you ended up with 32 different ways of doing it. By going the Cloud Smart initiative route, we have a centralized approach where in which everything goes through my Cloud Smart team with the cloud architects, so that we're setting up the agencies to focus in on the application. We'll worry about the architecture, the data sharing, the cybersecurity elements. What we learned very quickly is that it's very easy to set things up, in a cloud architecture, whether you're using Microsoft Azure or your, favorite suite of products. But what's key is the cybersecurity elements. You have to make sure that you are selecting the appropriate options. And so I think the Cloud Smart initiative that Ohio has in place is going to be a difference maker and continue to help fuel our digital desires to digitize everything in state government. So I'm excited. I'm loving this job. This is my second year that I've completed. I'm starting year 3 of the 4-year appointment. And I'm just looking for great big things for Ohio. So OH.
IO.
Yeah.
Irvin, it's been wonderful talking to you today. Love your passion, love your energy. The great state of Ohio is in great hands. So with your leadership, and really appreciate you joining me today. So please, that ends the interview, but please join us at cdomagazine.tech for any additional interviews. And thank you once again, Irvin, for your time.
Hey, thank you, Brian. I appreciate you, man.
Okay.